former ambassador to the United Nations. You described some of the great problems confronting us. So I have another tough question for you. Tough in that it goes to the root of issues that people don't like to deal with. What do you think animates the Democrats, given how many destructive things you just enumerated?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think Nancy Pelosi knows that she's not going to be Speaker after 22 elections. I think she sees the writing on the wall, and so she's trying to get through as much as she can. I think that Biden, for everyone who thought that he was moderate, has found out that he's just going to go with wherever the party is going, and the party is getting further and further to the left. And I think that we're seeing extreme liberalism from anything on, defunding the police to turning around and doubling the regulations that we saw under Obama, now being proposed under Biden for climate. So, I think it's gone to a serious extreme. I think that the Democrats, all of this is going to backfire, and I think the Republicans have to be ready with policy solutions when the time comes and be ready to move on that in 2022.
That's an interesting proposition. Of course it'll backfire because, as I tell my listeners every day, everything the left touches, it destroys. However, the time frame is the issue. Do you see a backfiring in the imminent future?
Well, I think, look, if they get rid of the filibuster, I think all hell breaks loose, and hopefully, the Republicans fight back. I think right now, who would have ever thought that our hopes are now on Manchin and Sinema to hold the line, and that shows that, one, elections have consequences, and boy, are we feeling the burn of that. But having said that, I think that this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. But I think that that's the importance of having good quality people run in 2022, making sure that we're focused on policies and not sound bites, and making sure that we understand that we've got to start expanding our tent. We need to be speaking out to Hispanics. We need to be talking to the Jewish community. We need to be talking to the Asian community. We need to reach out to African Americans. We've got to grow our tent, because when we do, when we talk about the issues and we have those conversations with them, so many of Americans are feeling exactly what we're feeling. They know that something's wrong with education. They know that the prices of goods are going up. They know that you can't keep running up the debt and that our kids and grandkids won't forgive us for it. They just want to know what the alternative is. We have to give them a good alternative that's based on policy.
I agree. That's the hope. So why did we lose Georgia?
Interestingly enough, I was campaigning in Georgia and, was campaigning for Kelly Loeffler before the general election, campaigned for her and David Perdue during the runoff. The only thing I can tell you is we saw that, the 4 of the 5 areas where President Trump got the highest vote, for some reason those areas didn't turn out in the runoff. They didn't show up, and I'm not giving up on Georgia. I don't think Georgia has gone blue. I don't think Warnock represents them. I think that we have a chance of getting that seat back, but I think that, they wanted to hear about how they were going to be different, and I think they were caught up with, everything that was being said about the elections, and I think it hurt us. And I think that what we have to do is make sure that we go back and remind the people of Georgia that didn't vote, this is what happens when you don't vote, and make sure that we let them know how their life's going to be different when they put a Republican senator in there.
I broadcast every day. I'm heard in Georgia. I broadcast every day for months. If you don't vote, if you're a Republican and you don't vote, you will be directly responsible for terrible effect on this country. The amount that people are governed by emotions rather than reason, including many on the conservative side, is very distressing. And obviously that has taken a big role in the response, I think, to COVID. So I'm not going to ask you the obvious. I know it's about running for president. I know you said that if Donald Trump does, I know we would be in good hands if you were one of the candidates. That's all that matters to me. And in the meantime, that we win the Senate back in the next election. which I know you will be working on. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't think I have to make that decision yet.
That's
I think
right.
what I really
right.
what I
Go ahead. I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
Well, what I do think is really important is that, look, I was at the United Nations. I saw how the countries took me behind closed doors and talked about how they admired our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to be and do anything we want. So the power of the vote matters, and we have to make sure we vote. And I think how we handle ourselves going into 2022 matters. And anyone talking about 2024, it's a bit foolish to talk about that now, because if we don't win 2022, it's going to be hard to see the light for 2024. So, this is where I hope that your listeners will really get out there, look at who's running in their state, whether it's House, whether it's Senate, whether it's governor, and realize that what's happening now is not America. And we deserve better. We are better, but we have to fight for her. We have to defend her, and we have to go back to what we know works.
Well, bless you.
And I think that we can do that, and I think everybody has to keep the faith. I think 2022 is going to be a great year. I think we're going to be able to really turn some tides and change things, but we should never forget what this moment feels like, because this is what happens when we give up.
Well, God bless you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. We will continue on the Dennis Prager Show. That was Nikki Haley.